President Trump attacking the First Amendment and freedom of the press.
You take the writer and or the publisher of the paper, a certain paper, you know, and you say, who is the leaker? National security. And they say, we're not going to tell you. They say, that's okay, you're going to jail. And when this person realizes that he is going to be the bride of another prisoner very shortly.
I believe it was Thomas Jefferson who once said, our liberty depends on the freedom of the press. Though obviously, as with any right, there is some wiggle room for non-consensual ass. Don't blame me, that's Jefferson. He said that. Thomas Jefferson. Look it up. Hold on, let me get. But that's the press. The press are the enemy of the people. How does Trump feel about freedom of assembly?
He says, can't you just shoot them? Just shoot them in the legs or something. And he's suggesting that that's what we should do, that we should bring in the troops and shoot the protesters.
The commander-in-chief was suggesting that the U.S. military shoot protesters.
Yes, in the streets of our nation's capital. That's right.
Well, there'd still be free to assemble, just the assembly would be more of a pile. That's all. But that's just hearsay from Trump's Secretary of Defense at the time. Look, how about the Fifth Amendment, due process?
Very simply, if you rob a store, you can fully expect to be shot as you are leaving that store.
What the f*** are we doing? You know, I'm pretty sure that shooting a guy on suspicion of stealing a pair of khakis violates not only the Constitution, but the Ten Commandments and the Gap Employee Handbook. All right. I promise you that is the end of the things in my jacket. Now, we've had our fun dancing around the former president's rather eccentric interpretations of our country's founding document. May I offer you something more explicit?
I only want to be a dictator for one day.
Just so you know, that is how it starts. I'm not saying anybody has to do the arms salute. Let's just start with a few people doing the arms salute, and we'll see if the arms salute catches on. Ignoring the Bill of Rights, tearing up the Constitution, pining for a brief stint as a dictator, well, that settles it. When the good, patriotic, Constitution-loving, real Americans hear Trump's disrespect and disdain for our sacred constitutional principles, they will be outraged.
I'd rather have Donald Trump as a dictator for 4 years. Absolutely.
This country needs a dictator. I hate to say that, but it's the truth.
He could stand on the front steps of the White House and commit murder, and I'm with him.
If he says it, then I'll go with it. And if he wants to be a dictator, then so be it.
This is it. The Thomas Nast cartoon. Patriots festooned in American flags, co-signing dictatorship. Remember We the People? You know there's more words after that, right? Smaller font, still binding. Look, if you want to love Trump, love him. Go to the rallies, buy the sneakers. You want to give him absolute power? You want him to be the leader uber alles? You want him to have the right of kings? You do you. But stop framing it as patriotism. Because the one thing you cannot say is that Donald Trump is following the tradition of the founders. He is advocating for complete and total presidential immunity. His words, not mine. That is monarchy shit. And it's your right to support it. But just do me a favor for historical accuracy. Next time you want to dress up at the rallies, wear the right colored coats. That's what you are.
Biden's age and mental fitness has been a central part of the campaign, which tends to happen when you're 154 years old, and it's back in the news today.
Special counsel Robert Hur was at a hearing on Capitol Hill today defending his report on President Biden's handling of classified documents from last month, where Hur described Biden as a, quote, sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory.
My assessment in the report about the relevance of the president's memory was necessary and accurate and fair.
In Hur's report, where he declined to prosecute the president, he writes Biden did not remember even within several years when his son Beau died. That drew a fiery denial from the president.
Heard that. That's right. This special counsel got a lot of heat for calling attention to Biden's memory problems. And look, I'm not going to sit here and say Biden's brain is perfect, but can we just be honest here? Remembering when things happened is hard. I mean, I can't remember dates from years ago, and I'm a young, fit, chiseled, patient, optimistic, Sudoku-doing handsome man, you know?
Kind of pegged you as more of a word search guy. But no, it's true. Like, I have a really hard time even remembering my passwords.
I can remember my kids' names, or if I have kids.
I can never remember my husband's birthday.
I can't remember my own birthday.
Kosta, are you okay?
You know, I was going to make an appointment with my doctor, but I forgot how to use the phone. But look, the point is this. Robert Hur testified about his report today, and the Democrats took the opportunity to challenge his portrayal of Biden's memory.
I now want to turn you to the transcript and day 1, page 47. You said to President Biden, you appear to have a photographic understanding and recall of the House. Did you say that to President Biden?
Those words do appear on page 47 of the transcript.
Photographic is what you said. Is that right?
That word does appear on page 47 of the transcript.
Never appeared in your report, though. Is that correct? The word photographic?
That does not appear in my report.
Yep, that's gotta hurt. Let's turn to some major news out of Great Britain, where the royal family has photoshopped their way into a brand new scandal.
Now to a royal photo scandal that has sparked controversy and conspiracies.
The controversy started innocently enough. A family photo of the Princess of Wales and the smiling children to mark Mother's Day here in Britain. But then came the kill order from several global news agencies.
At closer inspection, it appears that the source had manipulated the image.
There's like little misalignments, right?
A sleeve that didn't line up with Charlotte's wrist, a skewered zipper on Kate's jacket, and her blurred hand.
There's a print on the top corner of Prince Louis's sweater there where the pattern doesn't line up.
Her hair abruptly ends on her right shoulder.
Princess Charlotte's hand isn't in the right spot.
Yeah, you know, you didn't need to do all that forensic analysis. You know how I know that's fake? There's 3 kids smiling at the same time. As a parent, I know that's impossible. Also, it should be noted, I didn't even know or care about Kate Middleton's leave of absence, but then you release a photo so edited they have to issue a kill order? Well, now I'm all in, all right? And the palace better have a good explanation for this.
Kensington Palace posting this explanation. Like many amateur photographers, I do occasionally experiment with editing. I wanted to express my apologies for any confusion.
I'm calling bullshit that Kate was the one who edited the picture. This is the royal family. They don't do anything themselves. They don't even pick their own noses. They have butlers for that. You think she's doing her own photoshopping? The only thing they know how to do without help is adultery.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this is only going to fuel baseless speculation about why Kate Middleton was hardly seen in months. And we don't want to get into all these rumors, like, is she getting a BBL? Is she divorcing William? Is she gone girling him?
Oh, my God. Do you think she's gone girling him?
My TikTok was saying so. If you're like many Americans, you're on TikTok. In fact, you're probably on it right now while this show plays in the background. Hey, I'm on TV over here. Pay attention. Unless you're watching me on TikTok, in which case, nice, thank you. Anyway, TikTok is huge, but if Congress has its way, that's about to change.
We begin this hour with breaking news up on Capitol Hill. Just minutes ago, House lawmakers passed a bill that could lead to a ban of the very popular social media platform TikTok here in the United States. The measure would give the company less than 6 months to sell to a non-Chinese owner. If that doesn't happen, TikTok could be shut down here in the United States.
Lawmakers from both parties warning that China could manipulate the algorithm to spread its own propaganda, or data like your browser history and location could be shared with the Chinese government.
This is not an attempt to ban TikTok. It's an attempt to make TikTok better. Tic-tac-toe. A winner. A winner.
That's right. That's right. Congress might be banning TikTok or banning tic-tac-toe. I'm not sure Nancy Pelosi knows. Also, tic-tac-toe winner? Tic-tac-toe is always a tie. Unless you're playing with your 3-year-old, then I'm winning 3 out of 5 times. But yes, obviously there's a problem with a Chinese app spying on Americans and feeding us propaganda. You want American apps doing that. But is this app really a Chinese propaganda tool? The most viral TikTok right now is just this, chocolate strawberries. That has more than 710 million views. And there's nothing political about it. I mean, yes, it does make you want to invade Taiwan a little, but aside from that, it's harmless.
What's interesting here is how unpredictable the breakdown of the vote was. Marjorie Taylor Greene and AOC voted together against the bill. Nancy Pelosi and Lauren Boebert voted for it. Both nightmare blunt rotations, by the way. Meanwhile, Biden says he'd sign the bill, and Trump has come out against it. The only thing you can really count on is that young people hate it, and TikTok is doing everything it can to mobilize them.
The company has launched an all-out lobbying effort both on the app and here on Capitol Hill.
If you are on TikTok, there's a good chance you've gotten an alert to say, call your member of Congress. Phones are ringing off the hook in many offices here in Washington.
We had little children calling into our office and others basically saying questions like, what is Congress? What is a congressman? Can I have my TikTok back?
That's how you know this issue is important. It forced Gen Z to make their very first phone call. And you know congressmen must have been pissed at teenagers blowing up their phones all day. I mean, well, Matt Gaetz didn't mind, but... The rest of them were pissed.
Look, I have to say, as an American, it's great that these kids are getting involved in the civic process. You're never too young to start getting ignored by your congressperson. There's another candidate in the race who can play a big role, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He's polling as high as 22% so far, which means he could lose this election more successfully than any third-party candidate in years. And soon we'll find out who he'll choose to lose alongside him.
Robert Kennedy Jr. says he has chosen his running mate and will announce his VP pick in the next 2 weeks. The independent presidential candidate says his short list includes New York Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers, who came under scrutiny during the pandemic for misleading the public about his vaccination status.
That's right. Aaron Rodgers could be RFK Jr.'s running mate. This would be the greatest president and vice president pairing of all time, is what I'm assuming the measles virus is saying. A football player in the White House feels like progress, though. We don't need any more aging old men with brain problems. We need a strong young man with brain problems. I just don't know if Aaron Rodgers is qualified to be next in line for the presidency, but I guess we don't have to worry about that. When has a Kennedy ever died unexpectedly?
Don't forget, Aaron Rodgers is supposed to be the starting quarterback for the Jets next season. So the question is, what's he going to do if the Jets make it to the Super Bowl? I almost held it together. Donald Trump has had a good week. He sealed the GOP nomination. One of his 54 trials was postponed. And he just figured out you can Google boobs. The man should be on top of the world, but some of his close friends in the right-wing media are concerned.
And I know you have supporters, friends, family. They say it's lonely at the top. And I'm actually curious, is it ever lonely for you?
What a ridiculous question for a journalist to ask. Of course he's not lonely. He saw his wife just 6 months ago. Walter Cronkite over here. Trump answered this question the way he answers every question, by saying whatever was on the top of his mind at that moment.
I study history, and I was always told that Andrew Jackson, as a president, was treated the absolute worst. He was just really lambasted. And I heard Abraham Lincoln was second, but he was in a thing called the Civil War. I don't care, Andrew Jackson or anybody else, nobody has, when you think of the fake things, nobody's been treated like Trump in terms of badly.
Yes, in terms of badly, Trump has been treated the badliest. Although maybe Lincoln was treated a little bit worse, with being shot in the head and all, but I doubt he was on his deathbed saying, at least I didn't have a P-tape rumor.
Good point. And by the way, how mistreated could Andrew Jackson have been? The man's on the $20 bill. I use that bill every day. It's the one I give to the homeless. I asked for $19 back, but that's not the point. I mean, plus, back then, even if the press wrote a horrible story about you, half the country was illiterate, you know? Honey, did you see that article about Andrew Jackson? No, I can't read. I can't read either. Well, then why'd we buy this newspaper? I mean, let's move on. Let's move on. Because not all the influential, powerful men in the world have been getting such easy questions this week.
This morning, a high-profile deal between two unlikely partners imploding after a confrontational interview between former CNN anchor Don Lemon and Elon Musk turned tense during a taping of the new The Don Lemon Show that was supposed to debut next week on Musk's platform X.
Hate speech on the platform is up. Do you believe that X and you have some responsibility to moderate hate speech on the platform?
I don't have to answer these questions.
The great replacement theory as it relates to Jewish people, do you think that?
I don't have to answer questions from reporters. Don, the only reason I'm doing this interview is because you're on the X platform and you asked for it. Otherwise, I would not do this interview.
Hours later, Lemon says he received a short text from Musk that read, "Contract is canceled."
Ooh. Now, to be fair to Elon, though, you never really expect to hire someone and immediately be asked about the Jewish great replacement theory. Usually want to wait for the Christmas party to do that, but I'm sorry, between Trump and Elon, when did all these macho men become such pussies? You know, aren't you the ones who complain about the snowflakes and liberal victimhood? When Elon bought Twitter, he was like, "This is free speech town square, baby." And then then anytime somebody criticizes him, he's like, "The town square is closed for repairs." It's terrible. Teddy Roosevelt's critics shot him during a speech, and he didn't even go to the hospital, which shows, one, how tough he is, and two, how terrible healthcare was back then. But look, these alpha males today get one tough question, and they start whining like my kid when I tell him he can't watch Cars 2 for the 8th time today. Well, Daddy, it's not fair. Well, you know what else isn't fair, son? It's not fair that I, a grown man, know all the words to Cars 2.